Good evening, I'm Kenna Stark, your host here on NMN Namandria's #1 news station, and here's what's coming up on tonight's news. First, we'll take an in-depth look at the recent relocation of industrial development outside the city core, a move officials say will open up valuable space for residential and commercial growth. Next, the mayoral race heats up as candidates release their latest platforms and respond to growing public demands on housing, economic stability, and climate action. We'll break down what this means for voters ahead of the next month's election. In transit news, we'll explore the city's ambitious upgrades and expansions to its public transportation system. From new bus lines to improved routes, these changes promises to ease the congestion and connect more neighborhoods. And finally, as the city continues to reinvent itself, we'll showcase exciting new tourism-focused green spaces designed to attract visitors while promoting sustainability and community wellness. Stay with us, these stories and more coming up next. Heyo and welcome to Build and Beautify Season 2. In this City Skylines modded Let's Play, we'll build Eneida Bay, a vibrant city of our dreams featuring transit-oriented development, clean energy, and deep city detailing. In the last episode, Mayor Green built a new solar farm and struck a deal with the Eneida Bay Paper Company to boost their renewable lumber efforts. But not everyone was on board. Many in the community pushed back, arguing that the land wasn't meant for industrial use and should instead be used to meet the rising demand for single-family homes, even with that huge expansion already happening in Fox Ridge. So if you happen to miss that last episode, then click on the info card above or check out the entire Build and Beautify Season 2 playlist located in the description below. In today's episode, we're relocating our new forestry site to a more suitable and spacious location, perfect for building it out in detail. We'll be adding extractor buildings, storage facilities, processing centers, and more. Then we'll tune into NMN Namandria's #1 news station for the latest updates on the 4th mayoral race. Plus, we'll check in with John Miller and the Eneida Bay Transit Authority to review and potentially fund new transit lines and expansions. Plus, we're once again bringing your feedback to life. We'll be implementing some of the great suggestions you've left in the comments from previous episodes. So if you want to see how Eneida Bay evolves with your input, stick around until the end. So are you enjoying building Eneida Bay? If so, hit that like button, subscribe, share this video with a friend, and let me know in the comments what features you would build in your dream city. If you can't wait to see the new season unfold, consider becoming a channel member for exclusive perks, emojis, and early access to the videos. And don't miss out on our Eneida Bay merchandise linked in the description below. Alrighty, so I'm wicked excited to dig my fingers into today's episode. So kick back, grab your favorite beverage, and please enjoy. Good evening and welcome back to NMN Namandria's #1 news station. I'm your host, Kenna Stark. The recently completed redevelopment of the Forestry area in the downtown core is drawing significant attention, and not all positive. City officials hailed the project as a forward-thinking effort to revitalize the heart of downtown, promising new green spaces, modern amenities, and economic growth. However, many local residents remain vocal in their criticism. Critics argue that the redevelopment has come at the cost of the community's health, expressing concerns over increased congestion and insufficient community consultation during the planning stages. Despite these concerns, city leaders maintain that the redevelopment is a necessary step towards modernization and urban renewal, emphasizing plans for ongoing improvements and community engagement. However, many have promised to relocate the industrial site, much to the distress of the already failing city budget. We will watch the redevelopment take place, bigger and better, here on NMN Namandria's #1 news station. Alright, so today we're starting off with a bit of a bold move. We're relocating the lumber industry we set up in the last episode. And I've got to be honest with you, I just don't like it. It didn't turn out the way I imagined, and I think we can do way better. I think I want something that not only looks great, but really does justice to your awesome suggestions and the legacy of the Eneida Bay Paper Company. So we're scrapping this old site and building something way more fitting. Let's jump in and hit that delete button hard. Alright, so this is the area we'll be building in today, right along that southeastern side of the massive mountain. I'm planning something much bigger than before, starting with extractor services, then adding storage, and finally lining the shoreline with some processing buildings. We'll kick things off with the extraction zone, and I'm keeping the layout aligned with the original idea to give it that man-made, intentional look. Honestly, after all, this site is a partnership between the Eneida Bay Paper Company and Mayor Green, so naturally Mayor Green wants to maintain the ecological landscape and the paper company wants a steady supply of resources. Now, in real life, it would take years, maybe decades, for these trees to grow, but thanks to the magic of mods and simulator gameplay, we'll be planning a mix of young and mature trees to bring this lumberyard to life. I'll be sticking with the tree palette we've been using across Eneida Bay: birch, hickory, and oak. I've always imagined Nemandria as a fictional, almost fantasy-like world, so I want to stay true to that aesthetic instead of switching to pine spruce and the typical species you'd find in real-world paper production, at least according to my brief Google search. Let's enjoy this time lapse, and we'll come back together once the extractor sites have been constructed and decorated. Next up in our production line, storage buildings. I'm planning to tuck them right here, snuggled between our newly built extractor area and where the processing buildings will go. This is where I think we can really make this build shine. I'll be pulling out all the stops with props and surfaces, detailing using the Find It mod and a bit of anarchy magic. I'm also dropping in a ton of lumber storage facilities using Plop the Growables to create a yard that feels busy and lived in. The idea is that the Eneida Bay Paper Company doesn't just harvest wood for themselves, they sell raw lumber too. Think of it kind of like a commercial yard where contractors, construction crews, and local woodworkers can come and grab what they need. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it shouldn't be called the Eneida Bay Paper Company. What if the Eneida Bay Lumber Company instead? Maybe they're sister companies, one's a subsidiary of the other, or maybe they can just be completely separate. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments. All right, finally, it's time to bring in the processing buildings, and we're going to place these right here. We'll be using Anarchy and Pop the Grobles to override the usual game mechanics and drop in a few more paper company buildings to really fill out the space. Next, I'm adding some manufacturing warehouses, and honestly, I think a cargo station makes perfect sense here, too. This site needs a solid way to transport goods, whether it's back into the downtown core or out into the old harbor for export. So let's dive into this grittier, more industrial phase of the build: factories, warehouses, cargo infrastructure, and of course, some signature Eneida Bay detailing to tie it all together. Welcome back to NMN Nemandria's #1 news station. I'm your host, Kenna Stark, and still ahead tonight, decision time is getting closer, and tonight we're breaking down what each mayoral candidate is promising to bring to the city. From transit and housing to safety and sustainability, we'll take a closer look at the key platforms shaping the race and what those promises could mean for your day-to-day life. And we want to hear from you. Head over to the community tab on YouTube where you can cast your vote in our official poll and join the conversation. It's your chance to show support, share your thoughts, and see where the public opinion is leaning. We begin our look at mayoral candidates with current Mayor Oliver Green, who's campaigning on a bold environmental vision for the city's future. At the heart of his platform, a plan to reduce the city's industrial pollution footprint by shifting towards sustainable industries like urban forestry and community-based farming. Mayor Green is also proposing a major expansion of the downtown Greenbelt system, creating more parks, trails, and natural buffers throughout the urban core. And he's pushing for green suburban zones within downtown itself, blending residential growth with eco-friendly designs. Green says his plan isn't just about the environment, it's about healthier neighborhoods, long-term jobs, and a more livable city for generations to come. Former Mayor Lucas Fox is back in the spotlight, running on a platform of bold, no-holds-barred development. After his narrow defeat to Oliver Green in the last election, Fox is promising a new era of growth across industry, residential, commercial, and office sectors, with no policy limits standing in the way of developers. In a move that's already sparking debate, Fox pledges to reopen bayfront land for redevelopment, allowing builders to once again break ground along the waterfront. He says the goal is to unlock the city's full economic potential and attract major private investment. Fox is also promising significant infrastructure upgrades, including the long-anticipated development of a regional airport, which he claims would position the city as a new hub for commerce and connectivity. For Lucas Fox, the message is clear. The city is open for business, no restrictions and no delays. Rounding out the mayoral race is familiar candidate George Marble, who's pitching a bold idea: turn Eneida Bay into a must-visit tourism destination. Marble says the city has untapped potential and that smart investment in tourism could bring fresh revenue to help stabilize the city's struggling budget. His vision includes waterfront attractions, seasonal festivals, and ecotourism initiatives that showcase the natural beauty of the bay. But Marble is also stressing balance. He's pledging to work closely with the Eneida Bay Transit Authority to ensure that rising visitor numbers won't disrupt daily commutes for local residents. Marble frames his campaign as one of revival and reinvention, putting Eneida Bay on the map without pushing its people to the margins. Also in the running is political newcomer Betty Wallace, who's centering her campaign on fixing what she calls the city's atrocious budget crisis. With a background in finance, Wallace is pledging to bring fiscal responsibility and economic prosperity back to Eneida Bay. Her plan, a major investment in public infrastructure, starting with the construction of new welfare offices to better serve residents in need while also attracting growth in the financial and professional sectors to diversify the city's economy. Wallace says her strategy combines compassion with commerce, meeting immediate needs while laying the groundwork for long-term financial stability. Her campaign message is simple: clean up the books and build a stronger, more equitable Eneida Bay for all. That concludes our in-depth look at the four mayoral candidates: Oliver Green, Lucas Fox, George Marble, and Betty Wallace, and the visions they each bring to the table. Now it's your turn to have a say in the conversation. Head over to the YouTube community tab to cast your vote in our official mayoral poll. It's a fast, easy way to join the dialogue and let us know which platform resonates most with you, whether it's environmental reform, development growth, tourism, or budget fixes. Your participation helps shape the future of Eneida Bay. Stay tuned. Coming up next, transit upgrades throughout the downtown and Fox Ridge area here on NMN Namandria's #1 news station. Good evening and welcome back to NMN Namandria's #1 news station. I'm your host, Kenna Stark. In a major boost to public transit, a city is rolling out key upgrades aimed at tackling overcrowding and improving accessibility. Starting this year, several of the city's busiest bus lines will see a fleet expansion, with new vehicles being added to reduce wait times and ease congestion during peak hours. But that's not all. John Miller of the Eneida Bay Transit Authority is also looking ahead. Construction is now underway on a brand new bus line strategically designed to serve both current and future needs. The route will run through Fox Ridge, an area earmarked for major residential and commercial development, and it will include a direct connection to the Foley's Medical University campus, providing students, staff, and patients with a much-needed transit lifeline. Officials say the improvements mark a significant step forward in building a more efficient, accessible, and future-ready transit network for all. Up next, George Marble teams up with local citizens to showcase the power of the tourism board here on NMN Namandria's #1 news station. With the recent expansion in Fox Ridge and Eneida Bay officially crossing the 100,000 population mark, I think it's a perfect time to revisit our transit system, starting with a look at our transit lines. Now, personally, I aim for a usage rate between 30 to 50%. That sweet spot to me balances comfort and efficiency. I don't want overcrowded buses where everyone's packed in like sardines, but I also don't want empty vehicles just burning fuel. Somewhere in the middle keeps that system useful and pleasant to ride. Let me know in the comments, what's your ideal transit usage percentage? I'm curious how you all manage it in your cities. All right, let's kick things off with our bus lines. A couple of them, honestly, specifically the B6 and B5. Are sitting kind of right in that 30 to 50% usage range. The B5's kind of fluctuating all over the place at the moment. These are newer routes, and we did add them to serve the growing Fox Ridge area, which is still developing. To keep things running smoothly as the population fills in, we'll go ahead and add another bus or two to each line. That should give us a little more capacity without overdoing it. Next up are tram lines, and honestly, these are looking wicked good so far. Not just the scenic routes, but also the capacity and usage numbers. The only one that's raising a bit of concern is T2, our downtown shore tram line. It's getting a little crowded here and there, so let's go ahead and add one more tram to help balance things out. That said, I want to be extra careful here. Downtown is dense, and the last thing we want is a tram traffic jam, congestion, or vehicles despawning because things just get too crowded. So we'll ease into this adjustment and keep a close eye on how it plays out. Now, before we leave our transit lines, I do want to quickly add in a third bus line to the Fox Ridge area, as this is a bit of a special line that will connect the Blue Subway Station, Fox Ridge, and the Foley Medical Center together. I can't really say this is going to be a traditional BRT system, and thus I won't label it as such in our transit list, but this is going to have less stops. If you recall, we are planning a transit tree-like model in Fox Ridge, so this line will continue along the main trunk from the Blue Subway Station, up the main arterial to the elementary campus, and then back out and up the cliffside to the Medical University, with maybe a sporadic stop or two along the main connector road in the Fox Ridge area as it makes its way through the suburb and into the cliffside ascent. So let's jump in and draw in the line and decorate a few of the stops with some parks and pedestrian paths just for a little decoration and a little relaxation. Welcome back to NMN, Nemandria's #1 news station. I'm your host, Kenna Stark. In the heart of downtown, a bold new destination is taking shape, designed to bring beauty, leisure, and stunning views to residents and visitors alike. George Marble, in collaboration with local citizens, has officially unveiled plans for a brand new hedge maze garden and observation tower set to become a crown jewel of the urban core. The lush, landscaped maze will offer a peaceful escape amid the bustle of the city while winding paths leading to shaded picnic areas perfect for families and friends. Rising above it all, the observation tower will offer breathtaking 360-degree views of the downtown skyline and the Bay Area beyond. And at the very top, a revolving restaurant giving diners a one-of-a-kind experience as they take in the ever-changing vistas with every meal. George Marble is calling the project a celebration of green space, innovation, and community, with construction expected beginning later this year. That is for the evening news. I've been your host here on NMN, Nemandria's #1 news station. Don't forget to tune in next week to catch the election results. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to bring in another awesome viewer suggestion. This one comes from Foulmouth, who pitched the idea of a hedge maze park. Naturally, I fell down a rabbit hole with this idea, which, yes, pun intended, and I've decided not to run any transit through the area. We've already got plenty of lines surrounding it, so this space is getting the full park treatment. Now, let's talk about how we're going to build it. I'm using a trick I picked up from Picana, who, by the way, recently gave the channel a shout out, which huge thank you again for that, and I apologize if I just mispronounced that channel name. Their series is fantastic, and I've picked up a bunch of useful tips I'll be using in this build. If you haven't checked them out yet, go show them some love. One technique I'm borrowing is snapping surfaces to pedestrian paths, which you may have seen me already doing a little bit throughout today's build. Then I'll come back in with invisible pedestrian paths to make it all walkable. I've found that freehanding surfaces always ends up looking a bit janky, so this snapping method should give us a cleaner, more intentional path. I'm using surfaces here because I want that sandy, slightly worn down texture for the walkways. Next, we'll fully line the paths with hedges, closing off a few key intersections to actually turn this into a proper maze. After that, we'll dress up the space with manicured grass, trees, flowers, gazebos, and, more. The big goal? Reach the central observation tower, which will overlook the entire downtown area. So yeah, huge shout out to Foulmouth for his idea, and another big thank you to Picana for the inspiration and techniques. This build really wouldn't be happening without the two of you, so thank you so much. Alrighty, everyone, I think that just about wraps up today's episode. So, if you enjoyed today's episode, please hit that like button, subscribe, and leave me a comment down below letting me know your thoughts on today's build. If you're excited to see the next episode unfold, consider becoming a channel member for exclusive perks, emojis, and early access to the videos. And don't forget to check out our Eneida Bay merchandise linked in the description below. Until next time, I hope everyone has a phenomenal week.